I think a lot of Gen Xers imagined that slowing down would feel easier than this. You work hard for decades, deal with pressure, responsibility, stress, constant rushing, and you think, one day life will calm down. I know that a little over 18 months ago, I was completely burnt out, exhausted, and I felt like I was crawling towards my retirement. But then something strange happens. You finally get a little more space, a little more freedom, a slightly slower pace of life. And instead of feeling peaceful, you feel uncomfortable, restless, even guilty. And I think a lot of us are quietly realizing that after decades of productivity and responsibility, we don't actually know how to stop. I think many Gen Xers were raised with a very strong message. Your value comes from being useful, being dependable, working hard, getting on with things, providing, achieving. And over time, productivity stops becoming something you do and it becomes who you are. You become the reliable person, the capable person, the one who copes, the one who keeps going. And for years, that feels normal. In fact, society rewards it. People admire busy people. I've often remarked how in every job, I've had the alarm codes for the office door and I've known the cleaners by name. I've known about their families because I was usually in first and I was usually leaving last, and I even worked weekends. But that exhaustion that I experienced almost became a badge of honour. And I think many of us internalised the idea that slowing down was laziness, even when we desperately needed rest. I know I did. Even now, if I sit still too long, there's often this voice in my head saying, you should be doing something. Maybe some of you recognise that too. I think one of the biggest surprises in midlife is realising that slowing down is not just a practical adjustment, it's an emotional one too, because when life becomes quieter, you suddenly hear your thoughts more clearly, and after years of distraction through work and responsibility, that can feel not just unfamiliar, but really strange. Sometimes slowing down forces you to notice things that you've avoided for years. Exhaustion, stress, burnout, unhappiness, regret, loneliness, questions about meaning. And I think many people stay busy partly because busyness protects us from sitting with those deeper feelings. And that's a difficult thing to admit, but I think it's true. Work gives structure, purpose, validation, and momentum. Without it, you suddenly have to figure out who you are underneath all of that doing. And that can feel unsettling. I also think Gen X struggles with slowing down because we grew up in a culture that admired constant progress. You always had to be improving something, your career, your finances, your home. Life became very goal-oriented. So when you finally reach a stage where life could become calmer, part of you almost feels guilty for not striving harder. And there's another layer to it too. As you get older, time starts feeling different. You become more aware that life is finite. And strangely, that can make slowing down feel emotionally complicated. Because part of you wants peace, but another part feels a sense of urgency. You don't want to waste time anymore. So you get caught up between two desires, wanting rest and wanting meaning. And I think many people in midlife are quietly living inside that tension. Lately, I've started wondering if slowing down is actually something we have to learn, because many of us spent 40 years training ourselves to override our own needs, push through, keep going, be productive, stay useful. And eventually that way of living becomes automatic. So maybe it's unrealistic to expect ourselves to instantly feel peaceful the moment life gets quieter. Maybe slowing down emotionally takes time too. Maybe it means learning how to rest without guilt, enjoy simple moments, stop measuring our worth through productivity, allow ourselves to exist without constantly proving our value. And honestly, I'm still trying to figure that all out myself. I still catch myself feeling impatient. I very often feel restless, like I should always be progressing towards something, questioning if I'm wasting time. But increasingly, I'm starting to question whether peace and being present are actually more valuable than having a sense of constant achievement. Because that's when I'm in life rather than just passing through it. I don't think Gen X struggles to slow down because we're incapable of relaxing. I think we struggle because we spent decades of becoming people who survived through constant movement. And when that movement slows, we're left asking a much deeper question. Who are we when we stop striving? Maybe this stage of life is not just about retirement. Maybe it's about relearning how to live. Not as workers or achievers, not as endlessly productive people, but simply as human beings. And honestly, I think many of us are still trying to figure out what that looks like. If this resonates with you, I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you find slowing down difficult too? And if any of this is sitting with you, I've put together a free midlife redesign reflection guide with some gentle questions to help you notice your own relationship with rest and productivity. You'll find the link below. I'm Angela. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to have you back for the next one. Subscribing is the best way to make that happen. Until then, bye for now.